It's funny how we hear about certain diseases and kind of think, well, it's never going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
Myeloma is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And we're diving into it today because, well, it can be easily missed early on, mistaken for something totally ordinary, like arthritis even.
Yeah.
And I think we both agree, knowing the difference between those everyday aches and pains and something, well, something more serious, that's got to be huge, right?
Absolutely. It can be life-changing. And that's exactly why we're taking a good hard look at this new article from the Advocate Voice, just came out on October 21st of this year, so 2024.
Okay, so let's get into it. Myeloma, when I hear that, I think blood cancer.
Right.
But it's got to be more than that, isn't it? It's more specific.
You're right, it is. It all starts with these things called plasma cells. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because plasma cells, they're like these little factories in our bodies, and their job is to produce antibodies.
Antibodies, those are our frontline defense against all the nasty stuff, right?
Exactly, exactly. Our immune system relies on them.
So when we're talking about myeloma and it's these plasma cells that are becoming cancerous, that means our immune system is basically what, under attack from the inside?
That's it, you got it. It's a double whammy, you see. Not only do you have the cancer itself to deal with, but now your immune system, it's weakened, it's more vulnerable to infections. It's a lot to handle.
Wow, that really raises the stakes. And I know the article mentioned different types of myeloma. Multiple myeloma seems to be like the most common one, but they talked about others too, like solitary plasmacytoma, which, I don't know, just the name, it almost sounds less serious.
I can see why you'd think that. It does sound a little, I don't know, milder maybe. But here's the thing, solitary plasmacytoma, it usually stays put. It's localized to one area, but it still comes from those same plasma cells.
So even if it's not as widespread, it's still like the same root problem.
Right. Think of it like a fire. Even if it's contained, it's still a fire, and you got to put it out.
No, you definitely do. That's a good way to put it. Now, one thing that kept popping up in the article was bone pain as a red flag for myeloma. What's the deal there? Why bones?
Okay, so imagine this. You've got your bone marrow, right? Soft stuff inside your bones. It's like a busy city, tons of activity, blood cells being made, you name it. Myeloma cells, now they come in and disrupt everything.
Oh, so they're like a wrench in the gears.
That's a great way to put it. Instead of helping things run smoothly, they mess it all up. And because of all that disruption, your bones, they get weaker, more prone to pain, fractures even. And it can even mess with your calcium levels, leading to something called hypercalcemia.
Wow, so many things going wrong because of these disruptive myeloma cells. And, it's tough because those symptoms that the article talks about, like bone pain, fatigue, losing weight, those could be a lot of things, right?
That's the thing, isn't it? A lot of people, even some doctors, might brush those symptoms off as, oh, just stress, maybe you're getting older, something like that. They don't always connect the dots. And that's why knowing about myeloma, even just a little bit, it can make all the difference.
Early detection is key, right?
Absolutely.
Catching it early is so important. So you've got these symptoms, right? But they're kind of sneaky, hard to pin down, which makes that early diagnosis, well, tricky. Now, what causes myeloma in the first place? Didn't the article say it's not like there's one single thing?
You got it. It's complicated, like a whole bunch of risk factors coming together,
Imperfect storm.
Yeah, kind of like that. And the article listed a few, like your age, for instance. Once you hit 65, the risk goes way up. Family history, too, even if it's not like directly inherited, it still seems to matter.
So family history in there. Age.
And sadly, even race plays a role. African Americans, they have a higher risk, it's a real disparity.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not right. It's like we've only got a couple of pieces of a very big puzzle. And to make it even more, more confusing, the article mentioned obesity as a possible risk factor too.
Right.
Even obesity.
That one surprised me, I gotta say.
It just goes to show you how complex myeloma is. And researchers, they're looking at everything, trying to figure it out. And we can't control all these risk factors, but it really highlighted how important a healthy lifestyle is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you can't control everything, but you can at least try to, stack the deck in your favor. Now, the article, it also got into the different stages of myeloma, and I gotta say, they mentioned these markers, beta-2 microglobulin, albumin, and I don't know, I'm not a scientist. Those sound like, I don't know, ingredients for a potion or something.
I hear you. They do sound a bit intimidating, don't they? But actually, they're super useful. Think of them like measuring sticks, They tell doctors how the disease is doing.
Okay, so they're like barometers for your myeloma. Exactly. So you've got beta-2 microglobulin. Now, higher levels of this usually mean the myeloma is more active. And then there's albumin. Your liver makes albumin, and it does a lot of important stuff in your body. If those levels are low, well, it could mean your liver's having a hard time, maybe because of the myeloma.
It's like it's not just where the myeloma is, how much it's impacting like your whole system.
That's exactly it. These stages, 1, 2, and 3, they help doctors figure out the best way to treat it. The higher the stage, usually the more aggressive they got to be with treatment. And this is where it's important to remember that myeloma, it's often called progressive.
Progressive. So it's like it's always moving, always changing.
In a way, yeah. If it's not treated, it tends to get worse over time. But, and this is the good news, treatment, it's come a long way, even just in the past few years.
Oh, that is good news. That's reassuring to hear. And speaking of new developments, the article mentioned things like targeted therapy and CAR T cell therapy. Now, those sound pretty high tech to me.
They are.
What's the deal with those?
Okay, so imagine this. Instead of using a big net to catch, I don't know, fish, let's say, you've got this laser that can target each fish individually. That's kind of what targeted therapy is like.
Wow, so precise.
Exactly. It zeroes in on those myeloma cells, attacks them specifically, without harming as many healthy cells. It's pretty amazing.
Wow, and CAR T cell therapy. That sounds like, I don't know, it's something out of Star Trek almost.
It's pretty wild, right? Basically, they take your own immune cells, those T cells, and it's like sending them off to boot camp. They're trained to recognize and destroy myeloma cells.
So it's like training your body to fight back.
Exactly. They take those supercharged T cells, put them back in your body, and they go after the myeloma. Pretty amazing stuff.
Wow, that's incredible. So we've gone from like traditional chemo to these super targeted, almost personalized treatments.
Yep. Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. The article also mentioned immunotherapy, which is all about, it's like giving your immune system a boost so it can fight the myeloma even better.
Like empowering your body's own defenses.
Exactly. It's a really exciting field, lots of potential there.
It sounds like there's a lot of hope on the horizon for myeloma treatment, which is, always good to hear. And speaking of hope, the article, it didn't just focus on like the medical stuff, fighting the disease, but also on, living with myeloma. It's about more than just surviving, isn't it? It's like you get a diagnosis like myeloma and it's got to be more than just the medical part, right? There's the whole like living with it part too.
Absolutely. It really is about, it's almost like a shift in mindset,
Yeah.
It's not just about surviving myeloma, it's about thriving, living your best life despite it. And the article touched on some really important things for that, like eating healthy, getting some exercise, and taking care of your mental health.
Those sound like, I don't know, kind of like general good advice, but I'm guessing when we're talking about myeloma, they take on a whole new meaning, huh?
You're right. They really do. It's not about, looking good in a swimsuit or anything like that. It's about, think of it like this. You're giving your body the best possible tools to handle the treatment, the side effects, all of it. So that healthy diet, it gives your cells the building blocks they need to repair, to make energy, all that good stuff.
Okay, so like fuel for the fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And exercise, even if it's just gentle stuff, it helps keep your bones strong, which is, especially important with myeloma and how it can affect your bones.
It's like you got to build a strong foundation if you want to weather the storm, right?
Exactly. And we can't forget about the mental and emotional side of things. A diagnosis like cancer, any serious illness, it's tough. It takes a toll, So the article, it really emphasized finding support, whether that's support groups, therapy, whatever works for you. Having a safe space to, to deal with the emotions, to connect with others who get it. That's huge.
That's so important, that feeling that you're not alone, that, wow, that's got to be huge.
It makes all the difference. And that's what it all comes down to, right? Knowledge, support. Those are the things that empower us to face these challenges head on.
Knowledge is power, absolutely. And speaking of knowledge, the article it mentioned organizations like the MMRF, the Multiple Myeloma Research Foundation. So if anyone listening, if you want to learn more, maybe connect with others, it sounds like that's a good place to start.
Couldn't agree more. The MMRF, they're doing amazing work. Research, advocacy, support, they're on the front lines of it all.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on myeloma, what's the big takeaway you hope people walk away with? What's the message you want to leave them with?
I hope they understand that myeloma, yeah, it's serious, but it's not a death sentence. Treatment has come so far, and when you combine that with taking care of yourself, body and mind, and plugging into those support systems, there's a lot of hope out there. people can live long, fulfilling lives, even with myeloma.
That's what I'm talking about. That's powerful stuff. This whole deep dive, it's been, I don't know, really eye-opening, even for me. And, we keep saying it, but knowledge is power. The more we know about myeloma, well, the better we can advocate for ourselves, for our loved ones. So until next time, keep those brains engaged and stay curious out there.